What's up, everyone? Adam Gelman here. Excited to make another video about WWE Chronicles, a set that was just released a couple of weeks ago, and one that is making a splash because I think for the first time in a long time, we're seeing a set that really isn't a set. It's like 5 or 6 different types of products that, really are coming together to make this sort of wad of chewed bubblegum that becomes like this other entire product altogether. And in other sports, it has really made a ton of sense because Panini releases 40 to 50 products a year. So when we're going into smaller niche sort of licenses like UFC and WWE, seeing Panini do this for a product set like that makes a completely different approach because instead of seeing 40 to 50 products released in a sport every year like they do in the NFL and NBA, now you're getting chances to see some of the hobby standards that exist in those sports brought over to WWE that can't support a standalone product. Now, people have said, well, I would love National Treasures to be its own set. I would love for, Optic to have its own release in WWE. Yeah, I think that's a very good sort of observation. I think what the issue is that production timelines, relic availability, superstar availability, product configuration, cost, all of that factors in when deciding which products to put on the calendar. So when you make a set like Revolution or when you make a set like Prism, like those sets are designed to attack a very specific target market. With Chronicles, you have an opportunity to bring sets together that would normally not be able to be as successful in the public market because as a standalone product, they just sort of replicate a lot of the things that those existing sets already do. And I'm going to talk through sort of what each of these sets really mean in other sports and sort of how they were positioned here in this specific set. But, the overlap that exists in NBA and NFL and MLB can exist because the market is probably 10 to 50 times as big as WWE. So when you have a smaller market or when you have a smaller available target to bring these products to, you can't overlap as much because people get burned out because they're not used to it. It's a smaller market. There's not enough support to bring 8 products a month instead of 1 product a month. So that's where a set like Chronicles really steps in and can fill in gaps of cards that people really want to see, like Crown Royal silhouettes or whatever, and not have to support an entire product release to do so. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through each of the sets. I'm going to break them out. I'll show a picture in the header here so you can see what they look like in practice with the WWE, what they mean, where they were coming from, how they were designed, all of that stuff, so that if you're confused as to why these are the way that they are, now you'll have a little bit more of a reference point being able to support kind of why the products was chosen for Chronicles rather than maybe a standalone release or why it was even included in Chronicles to begin with. So let's get going. All right, let's start with the actual Chronicles set. So, as part of this product, when it was first released in NBA and NFL, they actually sort of meant it to be a standalone product with elements of other products sort of thrown in. It ended up being this amalgamation of a number of products that have sort of come together to form the base set. But originally, the idea was that Chronicles would be the base set and that the other stuff would be inserts. So when we're looking at it from WWE perspective, there's 100 cards in the Chronicles base set. They're focusing on some legends and some existing stars. There's also an autograph variation of those. These are all standard for every year of Chronicles. And if you buy a box of Chronicles in the NFL or NBA or MLB, these are kind of the junk autographs that usually sort of populate it. As we saw here, they sometimes include some bigger names, like we saw Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Trish Stratus, like people like that end up on the autograph checklist. But, this is the base set. Like this is really just the easiest one to get a hold of. They're going to be the least valuable probably of any of them. The SP autographs like the Undertaker, like the bigger names, John Cena, Bret Hart, etc., like those will have some value. And I think the plus of having cards like that, is Ryan explained in a previous video, is like these might be the most affordable autographs for those people that you can get. So for people that don't want to spend $500 to get a Prism autograph of the Undertaker or Shawn Michaels or whoever, like these autographs can be the opportunity for you to get an autograph of the top name in the game for your set. So I think like really interesting sort of checklist here. There's a mix of rookies and veterans and legends and current stars, but overall, I think this is meant to be the base version of Chronicles that has been included in all the different previous sets before it, and it's just there. So I'm not a huge fan of collecting these. I haven't actually been chasing the Becky Lynch ones for my collection here. I just don't see this as really an attractive um, sort of chase for somebody like me. But if you're somebody that is a major set collector and you want to have these as the main Chronicles base set to have for your binders or your set wall, like this is the place to start. Absolutely. Right. So let's talk about Prestige because it's one of those sets that when I first got it back into football collecting, it was actually like the set that first came out that I was introduced to. It's been around for a very long time, and it was always sort of that paper flagship type approach again. And again, when we go back to the original sort of approaches for some of these football sets, like there was a determined approach to have something for everybody across the calendar. So you had these um, premium sets like National Treasures and stuff like that. Then you also had like the rookie card focus sets like Contenders, and you had the paper sets that were like Donruss and Score and stuff like that. Prestige was one of those sets. Again, like there's not like this hobby chase that requires it to be included, but if you're going to build a 500 card product, I see maybe why they went this direction. Panini doesn't produce a lot of these sets anymore where they're driving, huge long checklists of flagship type paper cards anymore. But, that's why they included the 10 cards for this. It's okay. I mean, like it looks okay. Like again, these are just the type of cards you fly through in a pack. Not everything can be kind of the major hits, but it's been around for a while. It does have a legacy in football, but not the same pedigree as some of the other sets that are included in this. All right, Score is a hobby favorite. And it's a hobby favorite because of the crazy sort of 1980s and 90s sort of junk wax era expansion that Score saw. Um, Score used to be one of those sets that was part of the Big Four for a couple of years. It was never Tops or Donruss, but it was a flagship set, and they released it during the Junk Wax era. So there's those designs and kind of the earlier parts of the major collecting eras that people remember. Um, it's been brought back as a very early release into Panini's football calendar, and I remember back when Panini first got the NCAA license back, this became kind of a draft product where you would have it was released before the draft or right after the draft, mostly college focused players, but they had autographs, they had parallels and stuff like that. So it was kind of it became one of those pre draft products. Very key element of Panini's calendar. They probably made a ton of money off of this because it's a paper product. It's not expensive to release. Your most or all of the autographs are rookies. There's some current stars and legends that you include at a very low hit rate, but people collect it because in football the draft is a major event, and getting your team's guys right after the draft became a huge money draw for a lot of people. So you could buy a box of Score for like $75, get 4 autographs, and it would sell immediately, especially if your guy was drafted to a team like the Patriots or the Packers or something like that, where they had a ton of collectors and people wanted those rookies right away. Now, more recently, I'm sure things have changed a little bit differently. I haven't bought a Score box in a while, but I still see it come out every once in a while when it's like a pre-draft sort of area of the calendar. But like, yeah, like including it here, like it's just that nostalgia piece of things. Like everybody can remember Score that has collected when they were a kid. So including the 10 cards in this it makes sense. These are the types of things I would expect to be included in the Chronicles rather than a full set. Because again, you can only have so many flagship sets in a niche market that can't support multiple product after product after product hitting the same area. So, this is one of those things I think was an interesting addition, but, it doesn't have the same draw here because, again, it's part of a Chronicles product rather than like, a standalone product before an NFL draft. That's an event that collectors sort of look forward to every year. Panini Black is a unique inclusion in this set. There are 10 cards. I'm sorry, there are 20 cards in this set. The 20 cards are a mix of different people from the current roster, rookies and existing people. Um, and the parallels are all over the place. But Panini Black operates in the same sort of new era of football and basketball that happened really around the most recent license changeover. So you had sets like Phoenix and Black and stuff like that sort of jump into the calendar. Black is was originally released in a few different places and in different areas, including in Upper Deck. Like Upper Deck released Black for basketball right before they lost the license. So some of the final Michael Jordan autographs and LeBron James autographs in their pro uniforms are UD Black. And they're really cool looking cards in Upper Deck. One of the most unique box configurations I've ever seen. You had to open like 3 things just to get to the pack. If you ever want to watch somebody struggle to open a box of cards, go watch UD Black from like 2008 or 2009 when it was first there. The Panini version was almost a direct copy of that. More of a premium configuration, so you had on-card autographs, relics, and stuff like that. It, it it's kind of become another one of those NFL products where it's like we're just going to throw a bunch of rookies and stuff like that in there with relics and whatever. Like it's not a huge like sort of draw in that manner. It's just one of those mid-range sort of upper echelon products that maybe cost $175 a box if it was MSRP. Some of the bigger classes that have good rookies in them, it may cost a little bit more. Here it's just another base card, and I think the cards look cool. Like I think the design looks cool. They have kind of 2 different photographs on it. The parallels look good. Like there's 20 of them, so it's a little bit of a beefier part of the checklist than most of these other 10 card sets. But yeah, like this is a cool set to look at. The format has really sort of changed in the stick and ball sports over a lot of different areas. When it originally was released in football, it had like a whole bunch of different stuff in it, but then after that, it was completely different. So really interested to see that they included it in this set. And if you want to collect kind of one of the mid-range premium sides of this product, this is a good place to start. All right, Spectra is one of those products that I think probably could support a full release. It is not my favorite product as it pertains to football or basketball or baseball or any of the other things that's been released. It's been around for a few years now. There are a lot of people that gravitate towards this because they are Chrome cards with all sorts of funky patterns, the normal way that Panini does it. Like, would I rather have Spectra over a set like Flux? Yes. Would I rather have Spectra over a set like Mosaic? Probably. But, Mosaic is still one of those sets. Spectra is one of those sets you have to include in a product like this. What the draw is for Spectra, and again, there is no autograph version of these, even though in the NFL and NBA, like the ones with the neon markers are the ones that really they're like bright orange cards with bright orange stickers, and like it looks ridiculous. Some of the on card stuff looks really good. There are a lot of 101s, or you can rip a case and get a 101 that looks like a gold vinyl superfractor. Like they have specific draws to this product that make people want to open it. It is really expensive. It's based on a product called Bowman Sterling. So when Topps was building out their Chromium calendar, Topps did things like Bowman Chrome and Topps Chrome and Finest and stuff like that. Bowman Sterling was a rookie focused pack of baseball cards that offered a hit per box, mini box, and they had 4 mini boxes, about $300 a box, really expensive for a rookie product. Mike Trout's rookie card is part of Bowman Sterling, goes for a ton of money. And like this is sort of Panini's version of it, although it started in football rather than baseball, and it's been migrated over to basketball. And Spectra has really become known for like being the highest end premium configuration of a Chrome card in Panini. It's not the most valuable Chrome card because that we know that that's Prism and Select and so on and so forth. But this is the most expensive sort of configuration where you have a small amount of cards per pack instead of a number of packs per box. A low end configuration is usually 20 to 24 packs of cards that have 10 to 15 cards in them, whatever, 4 cards in some cases. Spectra is completely different. And the draw here is the Nebula cards. Now, much like Chrome exists in Panini with all sorts of like patterned sort of backgrounds and stuff like that, you have tiger and zebra and elephant and you name it. Nebula is a hobby standard. It is one of those chase worthy parallels. Moving on to Flux. Flux is a product that I think just did not work for me in terms of its design in basketball. And I know it's one of those basketball products that sort of like was created to capitalize on sort of this funky looking design. It has all sorts of weird colors. It's very much like a reverse negative. Like it didn't resonate for me. Like it was just poorly laid out. The product configuration is really weird, pack within a pack. Like you go watch some NBA breaks of it. You'll see kind of what I'm talking about. Again, not a huge hobby draw, but they are chrome cards, so like they're going to attract attention here in a pack. The parallels go down pretty far. I'm not seeing that there are gold vinyl 101 versions of this. I think the 101s are a different color. But I will say this: there is an autograph parallel to this, and the autograph versions do look really, really good. I think overall, most collectors would agree that Flux just hasn't been a greatly successful product. Like there isn't a really big focus for collecting Flux cards in the NBA. And here the autographs, especially the Roman Reigns and the Alexa Bliss, like look tremendous. Like they really the photo in the back with the upfront sort of full body render looks really good. White autograph space that fits in very well with the design. Like I think the autographs for Flux look great. I'm probably staying away from most of the other stuff. The checklist, kind of a mix of like current guys and rookies. Um, but yeah, like the overall product where it came from in the NBA, very recent within the last couple of years. The boxes can be kind of expensive, but here it's a chrome card with an autograph that looks great. So I mean, like I'm not opposed to it being included. Again, this is kind of the configuration of Chronicles that's perfect for a product like Flux. But overall, like there just isn't a hobby legacy that says this is the one to chase. Even though the autographs I think look absolutely great, especially the gold ones on the autograph side because it's chrome gold, and what's better than that? So moving on to another one of the major sets that Panini has put into this product is Noir, and Noir is a little bit different. One of the first sets that is a little bit different from the rest of the product. In, Instead of being released, okay, let's talk about Noir a little bit here. Because Noir is a little bit different than any of the other sets that are part of this product for a number of different reasons. One, it's not inserted on a regular pack by pack basis, and it's one of those like kind of one per box base cards that doesn't have necessarily an autograph parallel, but it's not the same insert rate as you would have for like Black or Prestige or Playoff or something. Noir has 30 cards, and the lowest or in the highest availability of those is out of 99. So instead of having like a base card that isn't numbered, it starts at 99 and goes all the way down to 1. So, and there's not many parallels of it. So you have like the 99, you have the gold out of 10, and then you have the platinum 101. So there's only 3 parallels. Um, Noir is a premium configuration product that started in basketball, and it is one of the higher end products that Panini makes for basketball with a major draw that I am really sad we didn't get to see in this product, which is the sneaker spotlight cards. So, in traditional sense, like Noir was released a few years ago, it's one of those sort of new generation of Panini products. Noir is just the fact that it's a dark design. Here there's no autographs available for it, and like it looks awesome. Like the photos are great. They're using like the best renders that they can find of each of the wrestlers, and the fact that they're extremely limited makes them very collectible. So to put all 30 cards of this together is going to be a tall task. Some of them are going in upwards of $50 to $100 depending on who it is. You're seeing mostly big stars: Becky Lynch, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, stuff like that. You're not going to see a lot of them come up in the same sort of clip that you would see like a scorecard come up. So they're going to be really hard to find in a mass quantity where the price is going to be driven down to like $5 a card. Like this is one of those sort of products that I wish um, we got a little bit more of in Chronicles, because I don't think it could survive a normal release. It's way too niche of a product in basketball, and WWE is niche to begin with. So like you're not going to be able to support a noir type product in like a WWE market where it's going to have to cost $300 to $400 a box. You're getting 5 cards, and then what do you do, like a boot spotlight, a gear spotlight, or something like? I just don't think it survives if you put it out in a normal configuration the same way as you would like an impeccable or an immaculate. I think those are much more loyalty driven brand name products that Panini can deliver on a regular basis, and I'm glad that they went with that over something like Noir as a standalone. Here, these cards look awesome. Like I chase down the Becky Lynch's as quickly as I can. I got to the 101. I got the base one. I'm still looking for the gold, but this is like one of those cool rainbows to put together that doesn't take much effort. So as long as you're not having to shell out like I had to for the 101, like you can probably put this together if you're a player collector for one of the lower names in the set pretty easily. As long as somebody pulls the 101. So Noir, one of those base sets that kind of weird that they chose it to release as one of those box hits instead of an autograph version or something in the higher end of the product. But these cards still are very desirable. Like Black, like some of these other products that I've been mentioning, Phoenix was released for the first time in football very recently. And unlike some of the other sets that sort of represent this era of Panini collecting, these are Chrome cards. And I never really identified with the theme of the set when it was released in football. XR and Phoenix came out back to back for the first time, and a couple of years ago, and they've never really been like these chase level products. Recently, as they've moved more towards gold vinyl and a chrome finish on the cards, like it's become a little bit different. And in this set, there's definitely an attraction because, again, like we saw with Optic, there are gold vinyl 101s which look like superfractors. So the top superfractor pattern should be familiar to most WWE collectors. It's been around in WWE since 2005 and 2006. And like they're highly sought after cards. They're all 101. In the Panini side for WWE so far, we haven't seen them in Select. We haven't seen them in Prism. We are getting our first taste of them here for Phoenix. Unlike a lot of these other sets, there's an autograph parallel for this too. So like Optic, there is an autograph gold vinyl 101, which looks like an autograph superfractor. They are stickers, but this is a draw, right? So you have The Rock, you have Roman Reigns, you have really big names in here. You'll have their first Panini superfractors available here. And like, so the base cards are going to be a chase, and the golds and the other set. You have Cody Rhodes included in the autograph set. So he's going to have an autograph superfractor. You have really cool looking designs with the chrome finish. Like it, even though I'm not a huge fan of the football side, seeing it translated here into Chronicles with WWE, I think they did a really good job. This is one of those sets I think works perfectly for a set like Optic because it sets itself aside in the pack. You have gold parallels and a shiny chromium finish, and you have the gold vinyl 101 chase to sort of complete it. Really good addition here. This is one of those cards, especially the 101s, will be among the most expensive cards in the set. I know Roman Reigns has already been pulled. That went for a bunch of money. I know there's a few autographs that have sold that have gone for a bunch of money above and beyond where they would normally sell for somebody of that sort of level of the card. So yeah, really good inclusion there. This is one of those sets I think is perfect for a product like Chronicles. I think there's absolutely no way this could be supported as a full product, but the cards look really cool, especially the Superfractor 101 gold finals. XR was a football release, again, from the same era that Black and Phoenix and some of these other sets were part of. For the first time in football, XR was built around 101s. And there were just an overabundance of 101s included in this when it was released in football. And they had all sorts of different 101s. You had the base 101s, you had the logo 101s, you had just autograph 101s. Like it was literally just a huge configuration of jumbo relics, tiny relics, every sort of configuration you can think of. It was $100 a box, and you could buy a case. The run of the product was very small, so you would have like a couple of 101s a case. That's what drove people to open this. There wasn't a lot of like focus around one set or one card within it, but the NFL shields and the logos that are across all the configurations of XR, those are what really drove it. It's another shiny set, another set that's based around parallels. You know, it's very similar in a lot of ways to some of these other parts of the products that were based around sets released in the last 10 years. XR really is one of those sets, very rookie focused, NFL and other sports. Like, so my main familiarity, as you can probably tell from watching this, is NFL. That was where I was the biggest collector. And, this was a great way for collectors to rip boxes on the football side and get introduced. Here, it's just a base card again. There isn't an autograph configuration here for it. So you can imagine, like, this isn't like, that's a common theme in Chronicles, is like you get a base card, but you don't get the thing that the set is known for. In this, it's the 101s, and you can't really replicate that in a large scale with a product like Chronicles. But it's interesting that they included the base set for here. It's another 20 card set, another mix of sort of different people involved with it. Gonna be cheap to complete. It's probably below both elite and certified. But it's, the cards don't look terrible. They look kind of cool, and the parallels look cool, especially when you get down to gold. So yeah, overall, like, just not a huge fan of this, but it is like in football, it does have kind of that reputation of being the set where you can easily pull 101s. All right, Illusions is one of those sets I despise. I literally despise Illusions. It was originally created as a football set. Maybe it was basketball as well, but I cannot stand this product in any of those sports. The configuration is bananas. Everything is just weird. Like, there's an encased card, there's like base cards, there's autographs, there's autograph relics. Like, it's just another foil set that's released in the middle of the year. I'm not horribly thrilled that this got 20 cards in the Chronicles base set. This isn't my favorite product that Panini makes, clearly. I think here it's just one of those sets that was included to fill out the checklist. It's a more recent release. It's there are some recent rookie cards that were part of Illusions and are chased there. And it just doesn't have the hobby pedigree that some of these other sets do. If there was one set, if there were a couple of sets I would leave off, this is one of them. This and Luminance and maybe Playoff. Like, I don't really see them having a really big sort of factor here. Other people like Illusions because it's shiny and foil and has some unique sort of photo arrangements on the football side, and I don't know. It's not my favorite. Here it's kind of a mix of different things, and again, the parallels start high and go low, like across the entirety of the set. So if you're looking for kind of like one of those 20 card sets to chase, this probably won't be too expensive. It's one that just didn't resonate with me very much. All right, let's talk about Elite, another base set only part of the configuration. So we're quickly getting through some of these smaller sets. Elite is 20 cards instead of 10, and it's something that I think is a hobby standard for a number of reasons, because it's always been one of those early rookie card releases. For a long time, the rookie premiere would happen in March or April, right after the draft, and then the elite cards would be the first ones that had photos on the cards from the rookie premiere. So again, look up the rookie premiere on my site, look it up on Google, you'll see what it's all about. But the main purpose of the rookie premiere is not autographs and relics. It eventually became that. But originally, it was to get the rookies in their NFL uniforms so that they could take pictures on the field and use those for cards. Elite was the first time we used to see those pictures. It's changed probably dramatically now, but in this set, again, base set, the elite sort of functionality usually is based around die cuts and a few other things. We didn't see that here. That would have been really cool. If all of these cards were die cut, that would have been awesome. That's a major part of what makes Elite like a chase is like they have these cool rookie cards that are die cut. They're called status parallels, and you can see kind of how that functions in the header for this section. I'll put a few of them in there so you can see what it looks like. But like this is one of those sets that goes back forever. And they actually had a set called Turn of the Century, which is what drove the autograph content for Elite. It's made its way into a number of different sets. The extra edition set for baseball is all prospect focused. Basketball has rookie focused stuff, but football, again, this was really the first set that had the NFL uniforms in it, and that's what made Elite a draw. So the cards here look cool. The design is kind of busy, but in foil board again, shiny, whatever. So it's going to be same sort of level as we would see at Certified. I think Certified has a little bit better of a hobby pedigree, but so it's kind of like 1 and 1A in terms of this type of set. But overall, a really cool sort of addition. Elite is one of those sort of sets that there are going to be crossover collectors that love that Elite is part of this product. All right, Certified is one of those sets that go back again for the football side of it, for the baseball and basketball side of it. It goes back before the turn of the century, I believe. And the certified set here is all base cards. So again, this is another one of those sort of sets that was included without an autograph parallel, but the design looks really cool. And I think if you really want to get an idea of what certified is in other sports, it's mostly based around the autograph rookie relics. Again, much like we see across all of the NFL and NBA, like that's the draw for a set. If they have a rookie patch autograph in the set, that's what collectors are going to chase. And here, the certified was the first place, at least in the football side of it. I'm not sure about basketball. The football side of it, where the NFL Shield became a chase. So if you think of the way that a relic is included in a card, you have single color relics, then you have like which are just like a piece of jersey that's just like the mesh that goes beyond it. And then you have patches, which are like number pieces or letter pieces or team stuff that goes that are sewn onto the mesh. And then you have on every league jersey, there at one point there was only one. Now there may be multiples, but there were like a shield that goes in the middle of the collar of the jersey, and it's been there for almost 20 years now. So even players like Joe Montana, I think, was still playing when they had NFL shields added to the collar. Certified was one of those sets where it was like a real focus, right? So it's like people were altering cards and cutting that off of a knockoff jersey and putting them into out of 50 cards all over the place, but it was never an idea to make a set around the shield. Certified had that for the first time. It was part of exquisite, it was part of super premium products all the time, but like this was like the first sort of mid-range product where those cards were focused and available. So you can go to any year of certified. You have the certified black, which is their 101, and it has a logo patch on it, or it has the shield as a focus for that card. Here they're just base cards though, and like unfortunately the 101 is a platinum, not the traditional certified black. So like if you look at collections of people who collect people from the early era of 2010 Panini, like the certified black is one of those collection centerpieces, especially if it has a shield. But here they're platinum, which is sort of in line with the rest of the configuration of the product. I wish it was black. Unfortunately, it's not. So it's a cool card. Like I think they look really good. The golds look awesome. The platinums are kind of a bluish sheen to them. They're shiny cards. They're foil board, so their collectors are going to gravitate toward them. They'll probably sell in the mid range of a lot of these sets, so they're not going to be on like a score or a Donruss level, but they're not also going to be on like the Noir and higher end sort of case hits types of base cards either. But yeah, Certified goes back forever, and they have produced some really cool cards. And one of the other things I did want to highlight, it was one of the first times we saw like multiple relics in a card that of different types. So if you go back to like 2007 certified football, you had a relic card that had a piece of a jersey, a piece of a helmet, and then a patch in it. It was really cool concept that hadn't really been done before. And you know, they've had aspects of those things included in products, but not all in one card. Like it's like, again, these are Panini products that really sort of have stood the test of time. Certified is still released every year, so really cool to sort of see this in wrestling. But I wish the focus was more around creating the hobby standard that it was. If there was a product that I think could withstand a full release, this is probably one of them. I think you could easily do an auto relic card with a sticker and make the blacks a chase again. Like, this could theoretically be maybe even one of those retail releases only, but this has legs, I think, in a long term configuration. But unlike some of these other ones, like, it's just a base set. All right, moving on to rookies and stars. Again, rookies and stars is a product that goes back just an absolute long ways in football. It's been brought to other sports now with, I think they've released it in a couple of other configurations. It used to be, you know, very focused on the rookie elements with autographs from, you know, sporadic veterans. It has become one of those sets that kind of fell off and really sort of got mixed in with this lower end sets in the first part of the calendar. Eventually, I think it moved to a retail only release. Like, yeah, overall, like, there's a lot of these that are included in Chronicles, and it's just to have them. Like, I think these actually don't look bad. They are focused on NXT people. Um, I like the design for these, but yeah, overall, like, I mean, like, we're seeing this across now a number of sets in a row where it's just like, hey, let's throw this in there because it's something we've done for many years, and maybe there's a group of collectors out there that will appreciate having a rookies and stars card of Grayson Waller or whoever. I It's not my thing. It's not my cup of tea. This isn't what I collect, but you know, going into this and elements of sets like Illusions or Phoenix, like, they're going to be these products that exist only to exist on the Panini calendar to fill something out. Rookies and Stars actually goes a way farther back and has had, you know, a couple of really big cards released. I think Tom Brady has a rookie here. Like, there are some cards here that are recognized as Rookies and Stars sort of centric, but in terms of like a hobby draw, like, they just aren't anymore. I think they're right now, it's a retail only release anyways. It's only available in places like Fanatics Online, Target, Walmart, like those types of things. It may have changed. They may have brought it back to a hobby configuration, but you know, this isn't the set that it used to be. Panini used to only make, you know, 10 to 15 sets a year. So having a set like Rookies and Stars, which was focused on the rookie product, like, great. Like, that served a purpose in, you know, 2004. But now it's a little bit different. So, all right, moving on to playoff. Now, playoff is a really weird sort of thing to include in any calendar, let alone this one, because it's basically just another cheap flagship type product. It was originally created back to support the growing cost of wax in the NFL. And the brand itself, Playoff, was a company. Like, it was part of the Donruss conglomerate when they were Donruss, Leaf, and Playoff. Like, one company bought out all of those brands to be able to release cards across all of those different things. So when you look at like Playoff as a flagship set, it was originally released just to have another sort of cheaper set for people to buy if they don't want to spend, you know, $300 on a box of contenders. This is an NFL product. It's not released in any other sport. Again, this there are interesting photos in this, but it's just another set to fill out the checklist. There's nothing really redeeming about this in the NFL. Um, you know, I don't even know really where the idea is to include this in the Chronicle sets for this. It's not one of those sets that drives a lot of people to want to open packs or whatever. So, you know, Panini releases 40 or 50 products a year in NBA, NFL, MLB, like all there's going to be sets like this that exist. And we start getting into some of the other sort of like cheaper, like set collector type approaches like we had with Donruss or Optic or whatever. Like, these are the ones that are kind of at the bottom of the barrel. But they have some cool photos included in this, and the it's only 10 cards, so it's not like there's a huge approach here that needs to be accounted for if you're building the set. Like this will be a cheap one to sort of put together. But yeah, it's just one of those things I just wasn't hugely excited about. There aren't an autograph parallel here. It's just there. All right, moving on to Luminance. Luminance was first released in football a few years ago, a little bit before we started things like Legacy, but it was part of this new deal with the NFL where they started releasing just an astronomical amount of products. They had to support a lot more. And this was an opportunity where we saw, again, same day signature type cards from the rookie premiere take center stage. So they sort of found an idea to have rookies sign cards at the rookie premiere and then put them into a product that's released shortly after that. So usually production timelines are 8 to 9 months from conception to execution. And I'm sure that's shortened now depending on sort of the amount of people they have working on a product. But, because we saw Prism come together in WWE very quickly. But overall, like the Luminance sort of approach was like we have the NCAA license now across all the sports. We're going to include some of these NCAA cards. We're going to include this as a rookie focused product. It's been okay. Like, I mean, again, it's another one of those sets that Panini's done where um, it just fills the spot. And like in this set, again, there's only 10 cards and the parallels are the same for all of it, but it's just kind of one of those sets. And like you see in the packs as people are opening, like people kind of fly past this. Like I think this was a really weird sort of set to include. I don't think it has any real significance for WWE. Like the full bleed photos look kind of cool, but that's really the only redeeming factor here. Not a huge fan of this part of it. And I think there's a few of these sets through the course of the product where it's not really a hobby stand. There really wasn't a need to include this. Like if we took this one out and replaced it with something cooler, like I would be all for that. But yeah, this is just one of those products that I think was included to fill out a checklist, and it's like the list of people that are included isn't great. Like Bailey's on there, Big E's on there. I get it, but overall, this isn't the star making set of the product. All right, moving on to Legacy. Legacy is a relatively new set for Panini, and I say that only because Classics, which it replaced, was around forever. Like going back to like the early 2000s, I believe. I can't remember specifically like when it actually debuted, but like the set itself, Legacy is sort of like this throwback sort of design. Classics was always looked like the older sets from Donruss, so they kind of like it was kind of like a heritage knockoff, but not actually using the old designs. They're just designing in that theme. Legacy took over and was like, we're gonna go dive full into the pool when it comes to like designing retro looking theme songs, retro looking cards, and retro looking designs to support kind of the rookie class and doing it the way that we would expect those sets to look. So they've changed the set dramatically in the NFL over the last however many years, but like now they include mini cards. Like it's kind of turned into a little bit of an Allen and Ginter type of style. But all in all, like the legacy set in the football side of it is one of those products that's just a blur. Like it doesn't really have a lot of memorable stuff. There's not like a hobby standard chase that people want to go for. So in reality, like this wasn't the strongest brand name to include in this product, but the way that it turned out actually looks really cool. Like if you look at the Hogan and the Warrior and sort of the cards that they chose for those guys, like those cards actually do fit like the legacy brand more than the rookie stuff that usually goes on in the NFL. So I don't actually think this is a bad idea. Like there's only 10 of the cards, so like most of the other products here, like legacy is um one I didn't expect to work as well as it did. And it's newer. So like Legacy's only been around a few years. So that's an interesting sort of choice, but it's one that I think has worked very well. All right. Now we're getting into some of the cool cards here. Origins is one that I want to cover a little bit earlier on here in this video because it's based on one of my all-time favorite sets of tops. So back in like 2011, or even I think it may have even been 2010. I can't remember, but Origins was brought to the NFL, or Inception was brought to the NFL and Topps' side, to have hard signed cards signed at the rookie premiere, of players in their NFL jerseys. So basically, what they did was they took college photos, retouched them with pro uniforms based on what they were drafted, and brought these boxes of cards to the rookie themed event that happens in LA every year. So it used to be a huge event that Upper Deck and Topps and Panini all came to get jerseys tried on for the cards and like all these different things. Like if you want to learn about the rookie premiere, I suggest you Google it. You can go to my site, www.sportscardsuncensored.com. I have a whole section dedicated to the rookie premiere, but that's where Inception sort of started. So you had, for the first time ever, before a player was literally on the field taking snaps in an NFL game, you had them signing hard signed cards with their pro uniforms on. It was revolutionary. Took a ton of work because they had to retouch all of these photos, but it became a collector favorite. And when Topps lost the license in 2015 for football, that was brought over to Panini, with almost a direct copy in a set called Origins. You can see kind of the parallels between the name. Now, Topps' Inception was named because that's when the movie came out. Origins is just a copycat version of Inception, literally down to the type of background and signature and photo touches and everything. In this product, it's all legends, which was kind of weird to me. There's a couple of rookies in the base set. There's some focus across the brands in the base set, but like the autographs seem to be all legends, which just was weird for me because Inception is traditionally a rookie product. Origins is traditionally a rookie product. They've incorporated some veteran elements into it recently, but in the most part, it's a rookie focused product. Again, you can't support a rookie product like this in WWE because there's just not enough content to be able to deliver. But the cards look awesome. So originally they had to go through and retouch all the photos. Once they didn't need to do that anymore, they were using alternate methods. You can put an HDR filter on a photo, or you can have like a generator, and it sort of gives that artistic type element to it. So the original Inception set, every card had like this painted look to it. Now it's less so with Origins. They're more sort of like stock photos in terms of the editing. But this is a set that looks really cool. Like Origins is a standard for rookies, and it's one of the first rookie cards that's released every year in their true uniforms. And for this, it's like, legends. Like you have guys like Bret Hart and you name it. But there's also some first time signers like Michelle McCool, I think, was in this set. We did see Ronda Rousey have an autograph in this set. So like the Origin set was really cool. I really wish this would have been really cool to see if they had taken like their first photo in the WWF or like WWE or whenever they came on, like their first gimmick, their first costume, because things go through changes, right? So like you have Kane that started with that big all over red thing and finished up barely wearing anything. So I think like if we could go back to like 98 Kane, the joke implied here, where he first came in Hell in a Cell, and just be able to sort of use that as the photo for his thing instead of the photo they chose. I think that would have been a cool thing to show their origin in the World Wrestling Federation or WWE. So instead, that's not the way it goes. I think the cards turned out okay. I just don't think they're as big of a chase. Again, the parallel structure to start high and go low. Pretty common theme. One of those sets that I thought was going to be a lot better. It's not on cards. It's all sticker, just like the rest of Chronicles is. But, if you like the way that these look, like I think the Bret Hart card looks awesome. I think the Ronda Rousey card looks good. Like the cards themselves look good. I think in terms of the soul of what Origins is supposed to be, like I don't think it represents that. But overall, a good set. All right, let's talk about Absolute, which in this case is two sets. You have the base cards for Absolute, and then you also have the Tools of the Trade autograph set with the relics. So Absolute is one of those products that goes back on like 25 years. Like it's been around for a long time. And really, the original focus of Absolute in baseball and football was the relic content. Like for a long time there, starting in '96, the first game used jersey cards in hockey and baseball and football. Like those cards were rare. Like getting a relic card back in those days were rare. So when Absolute was created, it was one of the first products to focus on relic hits instead of the actual cards themselves. Now, if you go back to like the earlier parts of Absolute, like there wasn't a hit per pack, there wasn't all these other things that it eventually morphed into. But the most famous Absolute cards are relic cards actually. And the reason is because in 2005, before everything got switched over to Panini, they Donruss really or playoff, I'm sorry, playoff Absolute was really the first set to have jumbo relics as the focus. Now, these cards have become one of the most altered cards in the history of trading cards because it was so easy to pull out like the single color relic and insert like a logo patch. So I'm not touching any of the ones from that era anymore. But those are like the types of cards that Absolute is known for. There's a Babe Ruth jumbo relic card that goes for a ton of money that has like a swatch like this big in the card. And it was really the first time that that happened. Now, the reason it's called Absolute is because it's the full name of the set was Absolute Memorabilia, which was a reference to a lot of the relic cards that were included in the set. Now, personally, I have absolutely zero interest in Absolute as a brand or as a set in the NFL and the NBA because relic cards are no longer unique. They're no longer cool. They're no longer any of those things. Like they're cliche. So to see them they continue to release a product with single color 1 inch by 1 inch swatches, this at this era of the sort of the life cycle of a relic card is kind of weird. But they've started introducing things like kabooms, which are really rare inserts that drive the entire product these days. They do have logo cards, they do have autographs, like all of that stuff is still a major part of the NBA and NFL set. Here, there's another 10 cards. They go from the normal 199 parallels all the way down to one. But the real focus that I want to put on in this section is the tools of the trade, which, like I said, this is what drove Absolute back as far as the turn of the century, back in 2000. And I think these cards, the one of ones and the gold specifically, have some really cool relics, and they're usually three different relics, one by one. So you get small little pieces across the card. They look cool. I've seen some WWE logos pop up in this set. I think I saw one of the Usos and Ilya Dragunov. So like there are WWE logos for the 101s in this set. Asuka, I've seen a really cool one. Liv Morgan had an awesome 101. But those tools of the trade cards look really good. For a WWE set that still hasn't had a lot of those types of relics, really big deal. But overall, like the Absolute base set's probably a lesser chase in this. But the tool of the trade relic, if you can get the golds and the 101s and has awesome relics in it, you're going to have a valuable card. Let's move on to Donruss, and I'm going to cover both Donruss and Optic in the same sort of section here because they're basically the flagship and Chrome version of the same set. So if you're not familiar with Donruss, you probably haven't been around sports cards very much because Donruss goes all the way back to like the early 80s and before. So like it's most famous for like the junk wax era where Donruss base sets in baseball were printed like millions of cards and stuff like that. There's still hobby boxes of 87 Donruss baseball lying around hobby shops for $1. Like these cards have a hobby legacy. Like Donruss was the brainchild of two people that came together to create baseball cards as an alternative to Topps. That's the oversimplified view. I'm not going to get like hugely into it. I know there's baseball scholars out here that are going to have my ass for that, but overall, like Donruss leading up to the Panini acquisition was always kind of like the flagship set. It was the Topps baseball set that's released every year and is put out on Target shelves and stuff like that. It's that answer to it. For a long time, Panini actually stopped making Donruss standard. Like they just went a different direction. There really, for a while, there wasn't even really a Panini flagship set until Prism started coming out. So I mean, like there are years where there aren't like a base set that involves Topps and Donruss and Upper Deck and everything like that, where they're all sort of that one flagship set. For a while there, where there wasn't. Um, Now that we've sort of gotten out of that era where now cards are becoming more popular and more sought after, like Donruss has become a new release each year, and like they are, becoming these cards are becoming a chase because again they have rated rookies, which is again a hobby legacy sort of like title that are given to rookie cards in Panini side, and like they also have downtown cards. They have all these different things. Because Panini releases Prism and they consider that their flagship set in WWE and UFC and some of these other brands, they don't feel like they probably need to have another flagship set to sit on top of that. This particular Donruss set with the rated rookies and then the optic, like there's 10 cards. Like I think they're kind of, because they're not shiny, because they don't have foil on them, on the Donruss side, like they're not going to be as sought after. The optic ones with their parallels and the parallel structure that goes with any shiny cards, those are going to be more sought after in this set. So if you're going to focus on the rated rookies just to have Roxanne Perez and Braun Breaker and those guys sort of in your binder, like this is a great sort of rookie set to build, because the ones that are usually later on that I'm going to discuss are more autograph focused. They're going to be much more expensive to complete. You should be able to get this set for pretty cheap. All 10 cards. It shouldn't be crazy. There's parallels that go all the way down to 1 again, just like there is with all of these cards, but there's only 10 of them. The optic side of it, there's I think there's 25 of them, so there's a little bit more variety on the optic side. They focus more on the side of legends and current stars. The autograph versions of the optic are going to be probably pretty expensive comparatively. Like I've seen the Solo Sokoa that goes all the way down to a super fractor at 101. They call them gold vinyl. That went for $2,500, so that's a horribly expensive card compared to some of these other rated rookies that are a part of this. So like there's a wide variety of sets. And like when you get into optic, so remember this was created, around 2016 in football and basketball. And like the desire was to build a Donruss set and then build a Chrome set that mirrors the base set almost identically. Very similar to the functionality that we have with the base top set in baseball and then Chrome baseball, that is the same cards in a Chrome format. So Optic was really that. Prism is a standalone. There is no paper Prism. So like this is a different approach. We're going to have a paper base set that's easy to collect. We're going to have a more premium Optic set, which is much more difficult to collect because it's more expensive. There's going to be fewer cards, but it's the same cards, same rookies, same autographs. Prism almost entirely through the NBA and NFL has been sticker autographs. Optic was the first time we saw on-card rookie autographs in NFL and NBA. So for the first time there, we're starting to see some major changes that weren't available in Prism, and a lot of those cards are highly sought after for that reason. Here we're going to see a lot of focus on the low parallels, the golds, the superfractors, because every parallel at a superfractor level in Optic has 101 on it, and it's also the superfractor pattern that everybody chases. So really cool sort of side of the set, but the Optic is probably the only one I would love to see in a larger configuration. So moving on to the next set is Contenders. And there are two versions of Contenders in this set. We have the base cards themselves, which has a parallel structure associated with it. And then you actually have autographs, which are all rookies. Now, if you're not familiar with Contenders, Contenders is what I've deemed as a legacy set. So going back to 2001, even before autographs were a really big part of this, like Contenders was a prime product to chase rookie cards in the NFL. And this is normally an NFL set. In the last few years, they brought it over to the NBA and MLB and NASCAR and whatever. Like Contenders has become a legacy standard. But it started in the NFL '98 with Peyton Manning and Randy Moss, and huge rookies had their first autographs in Contenders. And ever since, players like Tom Brady, Tony Romo, and other really low-level rookies that became superstars in the NFL their only autographs came out of a set like Contenders. We've started to see Contenders be the place where every single rookie could potentially have a card or an autograph. So even if they're an undrafted free agent in the NFL, there's a chance that they have a Contenders card, because it is the catch-all rookie set in the NFL. The NFL has a 6-round draft, so there are 200 plus players that are drafted every year. And because the NFL is such an unpredictable league, like there are places where a 6th-round pick, somebody who isn't picked, becomes a superstar. If you look at somebody like Brock Purdy right now, he is a San Francisco 49er. They're about to play in the second round of the playoffs, the divisional round. Like, he has cards in these sets now because Contenders made that a standard. So in this set, in Chronicles, like, I was excited to see that Contenders was included. I wanted Contenders to have cards in the WWE for a very long time. The issue is rookies in WWE have been a challenge. NXT brings in probably 10 to 20 people a year, but it's not 200. And even if you're going to build in legendary tickets, existing season tickets, stuff like that, building an entire product around Contenders is a challenge when it comes to WWE. Now, here you have a 10 card base set, so you have people like Becky Lynch and so on and so forth who will have parallels. The parallels go from 199 all the way down to 1 of 1 platinum. Um, the rookies, on the other hand, are a little bit different because there are autographs that are included with that. The big hit in that is Solo Sikoa, Braun Breaker, etc. I think Gable Steveson has one as well. In football and in basketball, the major chase for Contenders is cracked ice. It's kind of that fractured, pattern that exists, and you'll see it when you pull one out of the WWE. It is the most widely chased Contenders card that there is. There's also 101s in the NFL and NBA, but I don't count those really as chases because they're so hard to acquire, especially with a product with as large of a run as Contenders usually has. But, these are the cards that entire collections are based around. In the NFL and NBA, when these are released, this is an event. Like, Contenders is probably among the biggest products that Panini releases. Again, it just doesn't make sense as much for a place like UFC and WWE. So when you get into these discussions around, like, how come we don't get this every year, it's because there's not enough players to support it. And I think when we see what's going on in Chronicles, this is a really good way to get it. My only complaint is that there aren't cracked ice season tickets for the veterans, which would be the major chase in that set. So you really are chasing golds and platinums like you would in a Prism instead of the cracked ice, which you are in Contenders. Now, as we've seen, usually in the NFL and NBA, these are on-card signatures. Here, they're stickers, like they are with every subset in Chronicles this year. But the cracked ice rookie season tickets, as they're listed on the cards, look really cool, and the pictures are great. I'm not a huge fan of the Contenders design this year. I think it was a huge miss in football, but I think they've adapted it well for Chronicles, and it makes sense. And the photos look great. So I think, like, if you're going to chase a card from this entire thing, you're going to want to get like the 101 platinums of the major sort of people, but you're also going to want to get the cracked ice tickets of the rookies if you collect one of those players. So overall, Contenders really top set in Panini's arsenal. In this set, it seems less of a focus because, again, the autographs are all sort of rookies. There's no relics involved, but these are major legacy cards in literally every sport it's released. All right. In the same token that we're seeing the Noir and National Treasures cards, there's also a set called One. It is based on a basketball set and a football set that was released a couple of years ago for the first time. It started in football as Panini One, moved into basketball as One and One, and then into baseball as Three and Two. Like, they're kind of weird names. The base cards here are really cool looking, and they're cool looking for one specific reason. It's the photographs. So instead of choosing a render or something like that to drive a lot of the pictures, like National Treasures being just a specific render, this is a full photograph from like an event. And we saw this a little bit in Contenders because they didn't use renders for that. They didn't use renders in Certified, but these photos look great. And the cards aren't like the same stock either. They look kind of canvas like. So you're having really awesome photos, like they have one of The Rock playing guitar, or Roman with like his tribal chief necklace, and like the cards just look amazing. And I know that there's a lot of people trying to complete this set because of that fact, because the cards started out of 99, have a gold pair, and then the platinum 101s. They're easy to sort of put together a rainbow, but you're also easy to sort of like see why they're desirable. Now, in basketball and football, the box is configured really interesting. It's a one card hit with like another base card included. I in the basketball version, there's like specific like moment cards that have silver signatures on them. Those are really the chase for one in basketball. In football, it's kind of the logos and relics and stuff like that that normally drive rookie content in a football product. I think the design is interesting on the football and basketball side. It's one of the better looking products that Panini makes, but from a base card configuration in this set, like you can't really support a one hit pack the same way you would if you had like an entire box dedicated. So this makes sense putting it into a Chronicles configuration. Would something like Panini One survive as a standalone product? I think it's possible, like depending on what relic content you have available, the number of signers you have available. The Tops did it with fully loaded. It would be a similar sort of configuration to that. The Panini versions are much more high end, so you would probably need to charge a considerable amount more than Chops did for fully loaded. But overall, I think it's a really good set, and these base cards are awesome. Okay, let's move into one of the biggest draws of the entire set, which is National Treasures. National Treasures is one of the main draws for a slew of reasons. Mainly because it has been Panini's high end, exquisite type product for a very long time, since 2006. But it has occupied a space as developing some of the most valuable cards in all of the hobby. So basically, Upper Deck Exquisite was like the first ultra premium product configuration that was produced. It was produced in 2003 and 4, and with LeBron James's rookie year in basketball. It's $500 a box. It revolutionized a number of the ways that products are produced across Tops, Panini, you name it. And ever since that product was released, both Tops and Panini have, at the time DLP, were trying to find an answer because Exquisite was just a complete shock to everybody, and it was well received. The cards today are worth sometimes millions of dollars. Like that set is a landmark product. When National Treasures was put out by Don Rickles Playoff in 2006 in football, it was the first opportunity that group of brands came together to release an ultra premium product. And it was a monster rookie class for football. Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Vince Young. And at the time, those guys were the best draft class prospects that football had ever seen. Transition now to the modern, ultra modern version of this, the Panini National Treasure set across all the different brands they release it in, whether it's NASCAR, NBA, NFL, MLB, you name it. These cards are insanely valuable. They're the Luka Doncic from 2018. His rookie 101 logo man just sold for $3.1 million and so originally sold for over four. Steph Curry regularly sells in the six figures. Justin Herbert on the football side. Every big rookie since 2007 has had a product representation in National Treasures that is among the most valuable. The logo patch autographs are some of the most valuable cards. So seeing it come to wrestling, this is the one product that everybody wanted to be a standalone. I completely agree with that. But the difference here is National Treasures is its own beast. You have to have a huge checklist, ton of autographs, both on card and sticker, ton of relic content. Like the production cost for the set is enormous. I don't know why they decided to put it out in NASCAR as a standalone, but in UFC and WWE as a part of Chronicles. But we are getting the best part of NT in this set, which is the auto relics. The base cards, I think, were a little underwhelming just because the design this year is a little underwhelming. But from a value perspective, they're among the most valuable cards in the set. They have parallels that go from 99 down to 10 down to 1. So just like Noir and Panini 1, this is kind of that case hit type card. Mix of legends, rookies. Roxanne Perez is in this set as a huge card. John Cena, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan. Like really good mix of names. But the true draw in that is the autograph relics, which for the first time in wrestling, we are seeing a National Treasures autograph relic, which that's the main draw across the entirety of the hobby. So the difference here is that the ones out of 49, which are the base versions, are single color, which hurts. So like you're not going to have the kind of value in the out of 49s as you would on the out of 10s and out of 1/1s. The out of 10 gold relics have, we've seen some insane relics. I own a Becky Lynch in my case. You can see it over my shoulder. That, it's just like a full letter. Like you have a Roman Reigns 101 that is a piece of relic that has the entire championship belt. Like there's another one where it's all money. Like it just, these cards look awesome when you get into the lower parallels. The Roman Reigns 1/1 sold for an enormous amount of money. Alexa Bliss sold for $3,000 in 1/1. There's a Becky Lynch out of 10 right now. It's up for 2,500. Whether those bids are real, I think we'll find out. Like all of these cards are hobby standards. And if you look at UFC, they didn't achieve the type of value you would expect for a major hobby card for a number of reasons. One, they're stickers. Two, some of the relics aren't as good in UFC. And then in WWE, we're seeing the same things. Now, a $3,000 Alexa Bliss, that's about what people were paying for the black. The black went on Prism for, four-ish. So like they're up there with some of the top cards of the year, and that should be pretty standard. I mean, when you look at the 101 Roman Reigns, it's probably one of the most insane wrestling cards I've ever seen. It's unfortunate it's not on card. The ability to have that plus what's coming out in Immaculate, which will have jumbo patch autographs that are on card. I'm curious how the value is sort of around there, but usually when you're ripping a case of Chronicles WWE, you're getting one auto relic, maybe two per case out of 12 boxes, so they're really tough to hit. The golds are even tougher to hit. The 101s are basically impossible, but we're starting to see some of those pop up. The Rey Mysterio is just insane, like full on awesome. Asuka, Bianca Belair, like they all have really cool relics in these cards. So it's not shocking that they are some of the top cards in the product. I would say the top card in the product is probably the Roman Reigns that was sold. That's already been acquired by one of the top names on Instagram. And I know he paid a ton of money for it, rightfully so. It's one of the best wrestling cards I've ever seen. So I'm a really huge fan of the auto relics. The base cards I think are going to be up there too. But yeah, this is one of those sets that for in terms of value across the hobby, it is the top. It is the pinnacle. But in this set, it's kind of a piece of another, which hurts a lot. But it's unfortunate, but it's still seeing huge prices come about for it. So either way, I think as we go on into Panini's licenses, hopefully these types of things will change and will get much better over the course of time. The most important base cards, and maybe some of the most important cards in this entire product, are the gala cards or gala cards that populate a very key group of rookies included as part of this base set. So there's a number of rookies included on this checklist. All the cards are out of 8. And if you've gone back through Chronicles and you've had experience with Chronicles in the NFL and NBA and all the other things, these cards are standard hobby draws and standard attractions for Chronicles across all these different products. Originally, Gala or Gala was a standalone product, and it was a complete flop. And like the cards just didn't look right. It was very movie themed. I absolutely despised the product. But bringing in these specific short print base cards into Chronicles in NFL and MLB and NBA and all these other things, like these have become the galactics of this set. The Prism Golds, the Kabooms, the Downtowns, like those main attractions that everybody chases. In WWE, they are all like the new guys: Roxanne Perez, Gable Steveson, Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes. Like all of the major rookies have cards in the set. I am disappointed that there's not a Rock, that there's not a Stone Cold Steve Austin or Becky Lynch for my collection, but I can't argue with Nikita Lyons having a card out of 8 that's going to go for $500. Like these cards, if you pull one, they are one per multiple case hits. Like they are really hard to hit. I know breakers who have ripped 30 cases of these and pulled 2. So I mean, like these cards are exceptionally rare. And if you go back through the sales, you can see one's already sold for 500 Nikita Lyons, 450 Carmelo Hayes. Roxanne Perez is just pulled. She's probably going to sell for even more than that. Like, these are the top draw in the set from a base card perspective. And the fact that they're not one of ones, there's only one parallel. They're great cards. They look awesome. And comparatively to the actual set that was released a number of years ago in football, like, I'm glad that these have become the way that they are, because holy crap, that set was terrible. These cards look awesome. And Chronicles depends on stuff like this as a chase. We talked about things like National Treasures and all these other things driving value throughout the product. Completely different experience here. Really excited that Gala made it into WWE, and I can already tell that they are going to be long-term hold collectibles for a lot of different reasons. But these cards are completely awesome. All right, to finish this out, there are a couple of autograph sets that only exist as autograph sets and don't have base components. A couple of them are important, and some of them do have a really rich hobby history. I'm going to start with the Crown Royal silhouettes because that was really one of my favorites. Um, Going through football collecting, basketball collecting, like if you go back to Crown Royal, it was one of those mid-range premium configuration products, one pack, two packs, where everything is a hit. In those packs, there's a couple of die-cut base cards. Like, the set goes back a number of years. More recently, within the last probably 5 to 10 years, they've put in these things called silhouettes, which are jumbo relics with autographs on them. They have been on card, they have been sticker, they've been a combination of both in some of the releases. But basically, the silhouette is like a die cut player that is photo that is cut into the relic. So instead of just having like a relic with a player off to the side like we saw in the National Treasures, or it's just not part of it, these are die cut windows that look awesome. And historically, these cards have been extremely valuable because, for a number of reasons, like when these were released in these sets, like these were the draw. Like, this was the reason you bought the product. Most of the autographs in Crown Royal are just like sticker autographs on a base card. So to get these types of cards, which have some ridiculous patches, if you go back and look, like, this is what drives a lot of the value for Crown Royal. In this set, it's like every big name that isn't in that's a current superstar and isn't in National Treasures has been moved into the Crown Royal silhouettes. There's not many big guys in there, unfortunately. Like, Kevin Owens is there, Montez Ford, a few others. But I mean, the checklist is terrible, unfortunately, which really is disappointing. We're not seeing names that have relics in that and in National Treasures, and it's just it's the mid tier guys, and it's unfortunate. But the set looks really cool. There's also the Prism National Pride signatures, which look awesome. This is they actually start at a base level and then go to gold and then go to black. So there is black prisms in Chronicles for the 101s, which are cool. They're sticker autographs, but they have a really good checklist. Hulk Hogan, Asuka, a few others that have like state, or I'm sorry, country flags behind them, and then like the autograph and everything on the base cards uh stock of chrome. So it's like they don't have an actual like national pride base set, but these autographs are really cool. And the golds and stuff like that, I mean, they're going to be valuable because they're prism golds and prism blacks. So really cool there. Then there's the Hall of Fame signatures, which is a great checklist. It has Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan, among others. All Hall of Famers. Trish Stratus has autographs in this and the national pride ones. So she has the Canadian flag in that one and the Hall of Fame signature too. Like, really great looking cards. They haven't been going for a lot of money. You can probably get the Stone Cold base version pretty cheap comparatively to a lot of his other signatures. They're rendered photos, so they're not like anything crazy. It's just him in his shirt. Hogan is kind of cool looking one. So like overall, like the sets are just kind of add-on sets that people have, and they are what they are. Like, they don't have base cards. They're not really Hall of Fame signatures. They've done in other products, but It's not based on anything like specific that I can remember. And the National Pride, like again, I haven't seen many of those cards lately. Maybe they've been included in the recent Prism sets in other sports. But yeah, I mean, overall, like the set itself is really good. And I have had a ton of fun collecting these. My chase is never ending with a lot of this stuff because there's so many parallels. There's so many different cards. There's 500 card base set. But to go now, hopefully you'll have some reference to go through each and every one of those sets and see kind of where it came from and why it's included. I did my best with some of them because there's not much to explain with some of these sets. But as we sort of get into Chronicles and as we get into other sets, like you're going to see how these hobby standards continue to be a focus going forward for the hobby. And I think overall, as we sort of close out Chronicles and my discussion of it, like having this wherewithal and having this background knowledge from the greater hobby will influence a lot of great information that you would have to make decisions on what you want to chase for your people, your sets, whatever. So hopefully this was helpful. You can follow me on Instagram at WWE Gelman. You can follow me on Twitter at SC Uncensored. Visit my page, www.sportscardsuncensored.com. I have had historical content on a lot of these different products going way back. So if you want to go through my site, you can see how these products have evolved over time because I've covered a lot of this on my site. My site was sports focused for a number of years, and these were the main things that I talked about. So really excited that we get to experience some of them in WWE, and I'm hopefully you've had as much fun with this product as I have.